to do really, I'm going to try really hard to not hit the back button. I did that in rehearsal, I don't know how many different times. Hi everybody. So 10 years ago there was no live stream. We didn't have all of our friends here. It was all Line 6 employees. And I was sitting right about there, I think. And Marcus Ryle, one of our co-founders, he came up and made this really rousing and inspirational speech. He's always been really amazing at that. And it's amazing, and it's so well thought out, and all of us are sitting there just refreshing our phones over and over again because at the same time it was going public. We wanted to gauge the first public reaction. So Marcus, if you're watching, we were listening, I promise, but we were also on our phones. So 10 years later, to the hour, and Steve's taken my phone. So here we go. Bring on the next 10 years. Woo! It's very embarrassing. We just make gear and talk about it online way too much. So this is clearly not a traditional product launch for us. Normally we would be at the NAMM show. We'd probably have some big band there. We'd have it catered. We'd have beer and that sort of stuff. And we'd fill the convention hall. But it didn't really seem sense. It didn't make sense. So there are a few reasons why we're doing this early. Number one, the longer we waited, the greater chance it would leak. And somebody dropped prices early this morning, and people are already talking about it. But number two, I love y'all, but you wouldn't shut up about it. And number three, and most importantly, we always knew we wanted to do something for Helix's 10-year anniversary. We didn't know what it was going to be, but June 11th lands right between NAMM, so all right, what are we going to do? But the June 11th date was just kind of too great of an opportunity to miss. Steve mentioned all of you here and a bunch of you watching from home or on tour in studios or wherever, you've all been very integral to the success of Helix. And kind of unbeknownst to you all, you've also been mission critical and integral to the next platform as well. So it kind of made sense to have all of you be a part of the announcement. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to actually throw a party here at home. I mean, who needs a massive rock show in a convention center when you have PowerPoint? Okay, so important disclaimer. We're going to be showing some of what's to come, probably right on the cusp of what we're comfortable divulging. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about, some of the stuff you're going to see won't be in 1.0. It may not be in 1.1. I had to Photoshop a bunch of stuff at the last second, like, oh crap, we can't show that yet. So don't look too closely. Just know that in the coming weeks and months, we're going to have a lot more to share, so just be patient. All right, here we go. So despite the video you just saw, we're actually not showing a new flagship today. We are showing two new flagships. Helix Stadium floor, Helix Stadium XL floor. So with what we now call OG Helix, starting right now, we didn't know we were going to end up with a platform at all. Steve talked about this. We thought it was going to be a 3-4 year in and out kind of thing, and much less that we'd be supporting it and updating it tirelessly for 10 plus years, including major back-end overhauls, Helix core improved oversampling, all new cab engine from scratch, a ton of other major and minor improvements, some of which we talk about, some of which we don't, not to mention amp and effect modeling that gets better over years. Yes, so we'd like to say that Helix doesn't get older, it matures. So conversely, Helix Stadium's all-new modular platform has been specifically architected from the very beginning to be extensible and updated for a long time, which is very different from what we've ever done before. So even today, Helix floors, noise, and dynamic range specs are not only best in this space, they're actually better than a lot of multi-$1,000 audio interfaces. So Helix Stadium improves upon this with our patented high dynamic range circuits on all analog inputs, not just one guitar in, resulting in up to 126 dB on the instrument ins, 120 dB on the effects returns and aux in, and 128 dB on the mic in. The noise preamp also sounds better and has more gain. We've redesigned the headphone output so it's much more forgiving for a much wider variety of headphones, so it sounds great on all headphones. And the whole thing has noticeably more headroom. So that means that your existing Helix and HX presets could sound better without any tweaking at all. We also have more DSP, obviously, a dedicated GPU, machine learning accelerator, FPGAs, and it's all running on a brand new from the ground up floating point architecture. Stadium and Stadium XL are actually quite similar on the ins and outs front, besides the obvious treadle and high contrast OLED scribble strips, which are better than Helix's screens. Helix Stadium adds 1 extra instrument input, 2 extra effects loops, and 1 extra dual control jack. Other than that, the I/O is identical. They both have mic preamps. They both have SPIF, USB-C, and USB-A ports, a removable 32 gig micro SD card, and a Burley internal power supply. And all of this I/O fits into chassis that are notably smaller than Helix or Helix LT. Stadium XL's footprint is 25% smaller than Helix Floor. Stadium is 42% smaller. And on the weight front, Helix Stadium XL, even though it has a ton more hardware packed inside, it's 21% lighter, and Stadium is just over half the weight. This new platform that we built isn't just for more stuff. It was mission critical for us to help deliver the single biggest leap Line 6 has made in our near 30 years of modeling amps. And we call this Agora. Agora was the street you all drove in on today. Remember on Google Maps it turned on Agora, right? It was also the street that our previous building was on. So it sort of represents home for us. It represents living here in Southern California, so we thought it was appropriate. But it's important to understand, Agora is not HX on steroids. It is an entirely new subcomponent behavioral architecture and modeling methodology. There's all new tube emulation, where we actually measure detailed parameters of the actual real tubes modeled in that particular amp, voltages, currents, capacitance, and more. We've invented a new way of modeling power stages, both push-pull and single-ended, in conjunction with the power supply, so we can capture the detailed dynamic interaction between the signal and power supply, which makes the transient response more realistic, so how it actually responds under your fingers and pick. Agora also models circuit feedback more accurately than has been possible before. Not only each instrument's ideal characteristics and behavior, but the real-world nuances too, because they don't always sound or behave the same. Right? Even things like capacitance between runs of wiring in the chassis are accounted for. There's also detailed plate and grid voltage data, all new sag, bias, ripple behavior emulation, double precision tone stacks, interblock communication, so cab blocks can talk back to the amp block for dynamic speaker impedance curves, even when effects are between them, and a lot more. If you name it, if it makes the smallest impact to responsiveness, not necessarily even things you can hear, we capture it. To start out, we're starting with 16 Agora guitar amps and 6 Agora bass amps, but we'll continue to add a bunch more through. The trick is that real amps aren't perfect. They have all sorts of imperfections and artifacts that may not be pleasing to the ear. So you have, and I'm sure you guys have, by show of hands, who's actually played a 68-69 Plexi Dime without earplugs? It's wild. Everybody knows what Plexi sound like. They've actually played in front of one. So that's kind of why Line 6 original amps like Ventu and Elmsley have been so popular, because they represent unique, idealized amps that in some cases couldn't exist in the real world. All Agora amps have a height knob. So depending on the amp and amp parameters, increasing height subtly or dramatically, it adjusts a bunch of behind-the-scenes parameters to maybe make the amp sound a bit smoother, fuller, punchier, and or more forgiving, but at the expense of accuracy. So if you're really familiar with a particular amp, then leave it off. You might hate it. But if you're not familiar with that amp, or you're familiar with it on records, or you think it might sound a particular way, maybe turn it up a bit, and you may find that the sound in your head is easier to achieve with fewer additional processing. Okay, I don't know who's old school here. This was a Line 6 print ad from late 97, 98. What's crazy is Dolly the sheep, the first clone sheep, was born in 96, so the marketing team was on point. In addition to Agora, early next year, we're introducing our own bespoke amp, cab, effect, and signal chain cloning engine we call Proxy. We fully understand that open source solutions are doing amazing things in this space, and the jury's still out on whether Helix Stadium goes there or not, but we wanted to do something unique and interesting. So Proxy is unique in that its core architecture and capabilities are designed to expand beyond amp and effect capture, maybe things that aren't even audio. It also sends training data wirelessly to the cloud, no computer necessary, which means you can train better models due to the power of cloud server processing. And while the servers are crunching numbers, you can keep making music. You don't have to wait for it. As soon as your clone appears in the model list, Stadium lets you know. It also lets us improve the cloning technology independent of not only what firmware you happen to be on, but what hardware you own. Let's talk about UI UX. So the floor multi-effects market looked and operated very differently before Helix. No big color screens, no scroll strips, no RGB LEDs, no massive cluster of I/O, everything hiding in menus, imitation, flattery. We've all seen the meme. The point is because of the hundreds of thousands of users familiar with Helix and how it operates, we wanted to maintain muscle memory, but we wanted to improve as much as we possibly could. You'll notice that we've doubled down on real tactile controls. Helix Stadium adds 2 extra push encoders and 5 extra dedicated push buttons. So you don't have to do the tap, tap, swipe, swipe, back, 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 close, close thing that you get. You can choose to use tactile controls or the touchscreen or both, however you're accustomed to work. And just like Helix, touch any stomp and it instantly jumps to whatever assigned blocks, controllers as foot switches or commands instantly. So how do you take UI, UX, and functionality that artists, producers, and engineers have used day in and day out for a decade and make it easier, faster, and more enjoyable? And the answer is tricky because Helix doesn't have just one type of customer. So if you're a new user, either to multi-effects in general, or even like you just haven't played guitar gear at all, every single parameter tells you what it does. Here's the global parameters, your amp parameters, your cab or effect parameters, just by tapping it. So not everybody needs to know what gain does on an amp, should know what that means. But even experts might need a refresher on what steps or boomerang do in our crazy tessellator delay. So instead of having to go dig through a parameter guide online, we built it into Helix. Assigning controllers now takes 2 seconds instead of 3, and you don't even have to dig into any menus to access all of your min and max. It's just right there. As we grow this list of amps, cabs, effects, and other stuff over the coming years, the search function in the model list makes it really easy to find what you want. You can type in the real amp and pedal name. The model list will call up all the items, even across different categories. Searching presets works the same way. If you tap this little camera icon down in the lower left-hand corner, this will let you see our new focus view, which kind of dives into each model and provides additional context and tools. So most amps and effects feature 5 touch zones with descriptive terms like clean, tight, dirty, squishy. Sometimes they get a little clever or whatever. Just slide your finger around the field until it sounds close to what you want, and then just tweak with the knobs. So if you're a new user and you've never played that amp or effect before, Focus View can showcase the variety of sounds and behavior of that amp or effect and act as a great springboard for dialing in your own sounds. It even teaches you how that sound was made because the sliders adjust in real time. For power users, however, you can customize each zone's settings and name, treating them like 5 subtle or radically different variations of that amp or effect that you can then morph between with your. And what's cool is that Focus View stays open when you're in this mode. So when you're jumping from stomp to amp or whatever with the amp button and the switches, it stays open. So the whole experience is literally tap distortion. I want this to be a bit angrier. Tap reverb. I want this to be a bit bloomier, a little less bloomier. Press the amp button. Okay, tighter, squishier, too squishy. Perfect. So it is the absolute fastest path from getting the sound in your head into something you can actually experience. For cabs, Focus View lets you move the mic around in 3D space, which is fun. And for EQs, it lets you dial in curves. So it's contextual, depends on the model. We've also provided a bunch of new contextual tools at the preset level. So all factory presets contain tips on how to best use them. For your own presets, you can freely type in helpful information like what instrument to use, what pickup was used, what was the tuning, what was your playback system, are there any creative controller assignments, what do the snapshots do, what's your favorite taco recipe, we don't care, right? What's great is when you share these presets online, people have a much better idea of what you're trying to accomplish. But you can never have enough context. Every factory preset will also include a unique dry guitar clip that plays through the preset, created by the person who made the preset, so you can hear it in context. So you grab your, like a 7-string ESP at your local guitar emporium, you walk up to Helix Stadium, you plug it in, not realizing that it's a country chicken picking preset designed for a passive telly, and you start chugging, you're like, that's horrible! Wait a second. You hit the little clip icon, you're like, oh wait, that actually sounds great. It was me, or it was my instrument, or my playing style, or whatever. For power users, you can record your own clips to help dial in presets without having to constantly switch between playing and editing. All right, foot switch modes have been drastically enhanced. You can use foot switch 6 to toggle between the 2 modes you use the most, and you can swap them out in like 3 seconds. There are now 2 layers of stomps, stomp A and stomp B. So if you use the control jacks for 4 additional foot switches, you can have a total of 25 stomps per preset, go ham. If you hold FS6, you get into more foot switch mode. This is where you access the additional 4 modes that aren't on FS6. But it also gives you quick access to a bunch of helpful functions like accessing the clip with your feet, accessing info with your feet, built-in stopwatch, metronome, quick save, and muting all outputs between sets. Our brand new file system lets you load thousands of IRs or create thousands of favorites and organize them into nested folders however you like. And I want my worship tutorial IRs in here. I want all my tape delay presets in here. They're all there. And remember, if you place all of your favorite amps or effects in the top level, you can access them without loading the model list at all, simply by spinning the lower knob, just like you can organize your presets into up to 126 different set lists, and changes you make to one preset will echo through any other set list that happens to exist. All new presets you make start from a list of templates, and you can make your own templates, so you don't have to make presets from scratch unless you really want to. If you are a current Helix or HX user, you don't have to recreate them manually in Helix Stadium. You'll be able to import them. So there are a couple small caveats, like we've deprecated the older hybrid cabs, so you'll want to make sure you convert everything to one of the new cabs before you move it over, but you should be up and running very quickly. Let's see, what else? The 4 stereo paths now have 12 blocks each, and while they do take up block locations, multiple splits and merges can be added to the same path. Let's see, above the big knob, we have our dedicated output buttons. They determine whether you're controlling the 1/4-inch XLR phone's output, or you can disable it entirely. If you press the button again, and you'll see our new flexible matrix cube mixer, and each layer is fully dependent, so you can have a completely different monitor mix for the 1/4-inch outputs to your amp, the XLR outputs to the front of house, or the phone's output to your in-ears, or the drummer, or the musical director. Each layer gets individual level pan, mute, and solo for each of the 4 stereo paths independently. USB in 1, 2, Bluetooth audio, aux in, the metronome, and all 8 stereo audio tracks. You can link 2 or all matrix layers together, and each one gets its own global EQ, whether they're linked or not. Let's talk about control for a second. So every parameter can be controlled by a local controller, like expression pedal switches, brand new XY controller, which is you can access really quickly with a single button press. You can map however many parameters you want to the X and Y axis, again, 2 seconds. So you can instantly access that, or wirelessly from your phone, whatever, eventually. But you could also control snapshots, or snapshots can be assigned to the exact same parameters, and MIDI notes or MIDI CCs can be assigned to the same parameters, so it works in sort of a last one wins sort of thing. So it's not exclusive. You can have all of those control the same parameter. Our venerable command center is still here. You get your 2 layers. This is dedicated to manual control of all your external gear, obviously. So if you want to switch your preset on your external pedals, or your keyboards patch, or software keystroke, or MIDI to DMX lighting, you can still do that. You do get 2 commands per switch, however, and each one responds to press, release, hold, or toggle. And remember, because you have Stomp A and Stomp B, if you wanted to, you could dedicate Stomp B to nothing but commands. still have access to all of that. We have 16 instant commands now per preset for spitting out all sorts of stuff when a preset or snapshot is recalled, a bunch of handy new utility commands, and we even have drum trigger inputs if you want to go nuts. So then your drummer could set the system tempo, start song playback, or trigger an internal loop or external drum machine. But it's nuts. So this is what we're talking about, the manual control that we've all sort of become comfortable with if you use Command Center. However, I'm going to ask a kind of a dumb, weird question of the audience. So on a multi-effect, in a perfect world, what's the ideal number of foot switches? Just one more? 12. Oh, see, now you're just, all right. So we believe there's an objectively correct answer to this, and it's 0. Because, remember, perfect world, you win the lottery, and you call your weird neighbor Al, who's a roadie in the 90s, and he brings his buddies over, and they run your rig for you. You don't have to do anything. You just get to play and have fun. That's the dream, right? So that brings us to our showcase automation. With Showcase, Helix Stadium is set to control your entire stage automatically. It's like having a guitar tech, bass tech, keyboard tech, playback tech, maybe even a lighting/video tech at your beck and call. If you just want to jam along with your favorite 20 or 50 or 500 songs, load them into Helix Stadium and then use the transport foot switch mode to recall them. That's real easy. And if you save the song, it recalls the preset. So you don't even have to go hunting for the preset if you want to jam along with your favorite song. And if that's all you care about, great. Next step might be, when you're loading in tracks, you ask the Helix Stadium app to split the song into stems. So then you can mute the guitar or bass part, or turn it down by 12 dB. So now what you're doing is you're not playing on top of your favorite songs, you're mixed into your favorite songs. And that means that your presets now suddenly sound better because they're done within a band context. So that sort of disparity between how it sounds when you play alone versus how it sounds in band practice can then go away. But songs aren't static. So like Igor, Mr. Bungle, 12-Foot Ninja, their songs are all over the place and they're constantly changing. They always keep you on your toes. Showcase lets you easily drag flags onto the song's timeline when you want that event to take place. So now your song can switch from your verse snapshot to your chorus snapshot to your solo snapshot without hitting a single foot switch. Remember, 0 foot switches. You can also reorder sections of the song on the fly, extend solos, cycle parts of the song, and more. Then you think, well, what else can I do? Say I drag 3 looper flags onto the timeline. I have to set one to record, one to stop, and another one to play. So now, during the second chorus, I'm harmonizing with what I just played in the first chorus. And then you realize, well, wait, I can load in 8 of my own stems from my own record, drag amp flags to switch my amp in real time, drag MIDI flags to control all of my external pedals, which also sync to tempo, recall patches in my keyboards, drum machines, go nuts and trigger MIDI to DMX lighting, send a play message to your laptop that's projecting to the audience or the congregation, and it all happens automatically. So it's important to understand that Showcase also works independently of tracks. You don't have to use tracks if you don't want to. You can take the markers and apply a bunch of flags there, and you can sequentially step through all of those sets of markers just like you might do from a single switch. So one switch was very, very close, my friend. But if those markers happen to be attached to a timeline, it all happens for you with no input, no tap dancing. So you can stop worrying about the technology and focus on what's important, your performance, your bandmates, and the audience. Or you could just use Showcase as a method of dialing in those tones within a band context again, because as you know, it sounds very different from environment to environment. So with Showcase, we've gone from an extremely casual playing experience, just jamming along with your favorite songs, all the way to a fully automated stage on your world tour, and you're using the exact same tools. It's not like you have to learn more as you go. It's literally dragging audio files in and choosing what events you want to have. So that's Showcase. All right. Nexus is Yamaha Guitar Group's all-new modular, networkable, multi-channel I/O and control protocol. So it's fairly open-ended, and it lets us expand the ins and outs and control capabilities of Helix Stadium. Although Helix Stadium, unfortunately, no longer has VDI and L6 links jacks built in, we absolutely could not abandon our PowerCab Plus and Variax users, of which I am. So the first Nexus accessory we're announcing is Expand D10. Expand D10 adds Variax, L6 link, and via 8-channel optical, you can run 8 channels to audio interfaces to expand the input count of your studio. And almost every audio interface, $500 and above, has an ADAT input. Or you can also run that to your digital console, or your stage box, or one of those affordable DA converters that give you XLR outputs. So you now have 10 XLR outs from Helix Stadium. Go nuts. And what's cool is that Nexus is an open-ended protocol. So even though this is the first of hopefully many accessories, we don't necessarily know all of the accessories that it can support, and you guys can tell us what type of accessories you want it to support. So we also have a new expression pedal called EX2, because Helix Stadium doesn't have an expression pedal, but if you want one, you can put it on the left side if you're a left-footed person. Other than its matching aesthetics, Goldilocks size, it's not too big, it's not too small, very lightweight, it's cast aluminum. The whole thing is true plug and play with a single TRS cable. So you don't have to worry about losing your Y adapters or anything like that. It's also true plug and play, coincidentally, with HX Stomp XL, Podgo, and Pod Express. And of course, when you're on your world tour, you're going to need something to carry it all in. Helix backpack. Our industrial design guru Dale designed this completely in-house. We did not slap our name on some OEM bag. It was designed in-house specifically for the needs of the touring and traveling musician. So it's comfortable to wear, highly water and impact resistant. It's actually a roll top to keep your stuff waterproof-ish. Has USB pass-through for a phone battery, secret compartments for tracking chips. So if somebody steals your Helix Stadium, you can go beat them up. A ton of room for EX2, Expand D10, cables, music, books, tuna sandwiches, whatever. So we haven't gotten into, man, there's so much to talk about. We didn't have time. We haven't gotten into like built-in multi-client Wi-Fi, wireless editing, automatic wireless updates, Bluetooth, new stroke tuner, side chaining compressors and gates, and all the cool other cloud stuff. And there's a bunch of other big things that we just can't talk about just yet. So, million-dollar questions. When and how much? So, it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody, but these are coming above Helix and Helix LT. Helix Stadium processors start at $17.99. Beginning on June 25th, you can reserve your Helix Stadium online or in stores. Also note that we are not done with OG Helix. They're not going anywhere, and we still have plans for them. We're keeping them market at new lower prices. Helix Floor will now be $12.99, Helix Rack will be $13.99, and Helix LT is down to $8.99. So there is still a lot of work for us to do. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow's meetings. And there's also a lot of information coming to all of you. Videos, blogs, audio clips, memes, a lot of sarcastic rants from Digital Igloo on the forums, you name it. So don't, where's the manual? It's coming, please be patient with us. For those in the room who want to know more, we've set up several interview rooms around the building where you can answer questions. We'll do one-on-ones, and some of you may be able to play a handful of Agora amps today. Wow, okay. Thanks to all of you who've battled LAX in the 101. Never done that before, I'm sorry, to come hang out with us in sunny Calabasas, California. Thank all of you who are out there in the blogosphere watching us from outside, and thank you for coming. Stay cool, everybody.
I'm going to have to wait months for mine, and just like everybody, I really want one. Matt brought one over, and we did 3 presets. We did a Marshall Fender in the box, and they all sounded great. The Marshall was particularly otherworldly. It had the dynamics, the response, the sag. It was great. So if you get a chance, make sure you play through one of these things. If you want to know more, go to line6.com. And I just want to thank you all for coming. Thanks for coming to the party. Thanks for joining the live stream. And we will see you soon.